The massive crystalline palace floated above the clouds of Zirian Prime, its walls shimmering with colors that had no names in any human language. Inside the throne room, a figure lay curled on a bed of starlight silk. Her scales, once brilliant as captured supernovas, now looked dull and lifeless. Queen Seraphon, the last of the Void Dragons, had not moved in 4 days. Her advisors whispered in the corners. The Calathi ambassador wrung his 4 hands nervously. The robotic representative from the machine collective calculated probabilities of succession if their queen died. None dared approach her. She refuses all food, muttered High Chancellor Vrosk, his tentacles writhing with anxiety. The finest delicacies from across the galaxy sit untouched. Ambrosian fruits from the garden worlds, living flame from the Phoenix Nebula, even crystallized time from the Chronarch vaults. The queen's massive form shifted slightly. Her eyes, each the size of a small spacecraft, remained closed. The ancient dragon had ruled for 10,000 years, had devoured stars and sung nebulas into being. Now she simply waited for the end. Meanwhile, on the human colony world of New Haven, Jake Morrison struggled with a different problem. His 5-year-old daughter Emma sat at their small kitchen table, swinging her legs and watching him with those big brown eyes that reminded him so much of her late mother. "Daddy, why can't we go to the festival?" Emma asked, her voice small. Jake sighed, spreading peanut butter on white bread. "I told you, sweetheart. Daddy has to work an extra shift at the spaceport today. Maybe next year." He added strawberry jam, Emma's favorite, and cut the sandwich diagonally just how she liked it. Money had been tight since Sarah passed. The medical bills from her illness had drained their savings, and his job as a cargo handler barely covered rent and Emma's school fees. "But all my friends are going," Emma said, her lower lip trembling. Jake knelt beside her chair, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. "I know, baby. I'm sorry. Tell you what, after work, we'll have our own festival. Just you and me. We'll make popcorn and watch that movie you like with the singing robots." Emma nodded, trying to be brave. Jake wrapped the sandwich in recycled aluminum foil and tucked it in his workbag along with an apple and a juice box. Another lunch he probably wouldn't have time to eat. The spaceport bustled with activity. Massive freight haulers from dozen different species loaded and unloaded cargo. Jake operated a heavy loader, moving containers that would travel between stars. The work was hard, but honest. Morrison, his supervisor, a gruff Altarian named Orcs, called out. "Got a special assignment for you. Some bigwig diplomatic ship needs unloading. Bay 47. Don't screw it up." Jake nodded and headed to the designated bay. The ship there was unlike anything he'd seen, organic curves that seemed to shift in, breathe, hull that looked more grown than built. Calathi design, he guessed. They were one of the older races, had been traveling the stars when humans still thought Earth was flat. He began unloading crates marked with symbols he couldn't read. Strange smells leaked from some of them, spices that made his nose tingle, fruits that seemed to sing, meat that glowed softly in the dim light of the cargo hold. "Careful with those." A nervous Calathi diplomat scurried up to him. "Those are offerings for the Dragon Queen. Priceless delicacies from across known space." "Dragon Queen?" Jake asked, steadying a particularly heavy container. "Queen Seraphon of the Void Dragons. Perhaps you humans have heard the legends? She who danced in the first light of creation. She who taught the stars their names?" The Calathi's 4 arms gestured dramatically. Jake shook his head. "Sorry, must have missed that day in school." The Calathi looked offended. "She is dying. Refuses all sustenance. The greatest minds in the galaxy have brought their finest offerings, but nothing tempts her. If she passes, the cosmic balance, well, you wouldn't understand." Jake continued working, but something about the story nagged at him. A being that wouldn't eat, wasting away while everyone watched helplessly. He thought of Sarah in those final days, how she'd lost all appetite, how nothing had tasted right to her anymore. During his break, he sat on a crate outside Bay 47 and unwrapped his sandwich. The simple combination of peanut butter and strawberry jam seemed almost embarrassingly humble compared to the exotic foods he'd been handling. He took a bite and, for a moment, just appreciated the familiar taste. Emma loved these sandwiches. Sarah used to make them for their weekend picnics in the park, back when a shadow fell over him. Jake looked up to see the Calathi diplomat from earlier. "What is that?" the alien asked, his sensory tendrils quivering. "Just a sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly. Want some?" Jake offered out of habit. The Calathi recoiled. "I do not consume, wait." His 4 eyes widened. "That smell. It's so simple. So pure." He leaned closer, inhaling deeply. May I have a small piece?" Jake shrugged and tore off a corner. The Calathi took it reverently, tasted it, and all 4 of his eyes rolled back in what looked like ecstasy. "By the 7 suns," he whispered. This is extraordinary in its ordinariness. The complexity hidden in simplicity. The comfort of basic sustenance elevated to art." He grabbed Jake's arm with 2 of his hands. "You must come with me. Now." "What?" "I can't leave work. I'll get fired. I'll pay you a year's wages." 2 years. "Whatever you want. But, you must bring this sandwich to the Queen. Please." Jake stared at the alien. 2 years' wages? That would mean Emma could go to the better school, the one with the advanced programs. They could move to a safer neighborhood. Maybe even take a vacation, something they hadn't done since. Just to deliver a sandwich? To save a life. To save millions of lives. The Queen's death would create a power vacuum that would lead to wars across half the galaxy. The Calathi was practically dancing with urgency. "Please, human. Your simple food might be the key." Jake thought of Emma, of the festival she was missing, of all the things he couldn't give her. "All right. But, I need to call my daughter first." 20 minutes later, Jake found himself aboard the most luxurious spacecraft he'd ever seen. The Calathi, who introduced himself as Ambassador Thylex, paced nervously as they traveled through hyperspace. "You don't understand," Thylex said. "The Dragon Queen isn't just a ruler. She's a force of nature. Her breath creates solar winds. Her dreams become realities in distant dimensions. When she sings, new species evolve just to hear her voice. And now she's dying because nothing in our vast, sophisticated galaxy appeals to her anymore." Jake looked at the half sandwich in his bag, still wrapped in foil. "And, you think a PB&J is going to fix that?" "I think," Thylex said carefully, "that sometimes we need to remember what it means to simply exist. To find joy in basic things. Your species is still young, still authentic in ways we've forgotten." The palace was even more impressive up close. Jake felt like an ant approaching a mountain made of dreams and starlight. Guards of every species imaginable watched as Thylex led him through corridors that defied geometry, past rooms where time flowed differently, through gardens where extinct flowers bloomed eternally. Finally, they reached the throne room. And Jake saw her. Queen Sirathan was impossibly vast, her form seeming to extend into dimensions his human eyes couldn't quite process. Her scales, even dimmed by her condition, held the light of dead galaxies. Her breathing sounded like solar wind through cosmic dust. And she was clearly dying. "Your Majesty," Thylex announced, his voice trembling. "I bring an offering from Earth. From the humans." One massive eye opened slightly. The Queen's voice, when it came, sounded like the echo of creation itself. "I told you. I want nothing. Let me fade in peace." Jake stepped forward, feeling ridiculous. Here he was, a single dad who could barely make rent, standing before a being older than his entire solar system. He unwrapped the sandwich with shaking hands. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice cracking. "I'm Jake. Jake Morrison. I'm nobody special. Just a cargo loader trying to raise my daughter. But, I wanted to share something with you.
The smell of peanut butter and strawberry jam filled the throne room.
It was so out of place among the exotic perfumes and impossible scents that everyone turned to stare.
The Queen's eye opened fully.
"This is called a peanut butter and jelly sandwich," Jake continued, feeling every gaze upon him. "It's what I packed for lunch."
"It's not fancy. It's not exotic. It's just food. Comfort food, we call it. My daughter Emma loves these. My wife used to make them for our picnics."
His voice caught.
"She passed away last year. Cancer. Couldn't eat anything at the end except..."
He held up the sandwich.
"Except these."
Said they reminded her of being young, of simpler times. The Dragon Queen's massive head moved, slowly, ponderously, until she was looking directly at Jake. In her ancient eyes, he saw oceans of time, witnessed the birth and death of universes, felt the weight of eons. "Tell me about your daughter," the Queen said softly. Jake blinked, surprised.
"Emma? She's 5. Smart as a whip. Loves to draw. She makes up stories about dragons, actually. Good dragons who help people and eat clouds made of cotton candy."
He smiled despite himself. "She wanted to go to the Colony Festival today, but I had to work. So I promised her we'd have our own festival tonight.
Just the two of us.
And this sandwich."
"Your wife made them?"
"Yeah. She was everything.
Scientist, actually. Xenobotanist.
She loved studying alien plants, finding connections between species that evolved light years apart. She used to say that life was the universe's way of understanding itself." Jake's eyes burned with unshed tears. Even when she was sick, she'd make these sandwiches for Emma's lunch. Said it was important to maintain normal things, little rituals that meant home and safety and love. The Queen lowered her great head until she was level with Jake. This close, he could see the intricate patterns in her scales, each one containing what looked like entire star systems.
"May I?" she asked.
Jake held out the sandwich half. The Queen's tongue, forked and delicate despite her size, took the tiniest piece. She closed her eyes as she tasted it.
The throne room held its breath.
"Peanuts," the Queen murmured.
"From Earth's soil. Grown under your yellow sun.
Simple protein and fat, crushed and mixed. Strawberries, their sweetness captured and preserved. Wheat bread, the staff of your life, baked with care." Her eyes opened, and they were brighter now.
"But, more than that. Love. A father's love. A mother's legacy.
The continuation of small traditions in the face of loss." She took another small bite, and her scales began to shimmer slightly. "I have tasted the rarest delicacies in the universe," the Queen continued. "Fruits that grant immortality, meats from creatures of pure thought, wines distilled from the dreams of gods.
But, I had forgotten.
I had forgotten what it means to eat not for sensation or status, but for sustenance.
For comfort. For connection."
Jake watched in amazement as color returned to the dragon's scales. She wasn't fully restored, but she was no longer fading. "Tell me more about Emma," the Queen said, taking another delicate bite. "Tell me about her dragon stories." Jake found himself sitting cross-legged on the throne room floor, looking up at an ancient cosmic being who was nibbling on his lunch with the delicate manners of a tea party guest. The assembled diplomats and advisors watched in stunned silence as their dying queen showed the first interest in anything for days.
"Emma thinks dragons are misunderstood," Jake began, relaxing slightly.
"In her stories, they're not monsters hoarding gold.
They're lonely beings who just want friends."
Last week, she drew a picture of a dragon teaching human children how to fly using special cloud wings. The Queen's eyes crinkled in what might have been amusement.
"Cloud wings?"
"She's very creative. Also convinced that dragons probably like pizza, because, and I quote, everybody likes pizza, Daddy."
Jake smiled at the memory.
"She leaves drawings under her pillow sometimes, hoping a dragon will find them and want to be her friend." "A wise child," the Queen murmured. She had finished the small portion Jake had given her and was looking decidedly more alive.
She understands what so many have forgotten.
That connection matters more than power.
Ambassador Thylex stepped forward cautiously. Your Majesty, shall I have the kitchens prepare more of this earth food?
The Queen shook her massive head.
No.
That would miss the point entirely.
She looked at Jake. Tell me, Jake Morrison, why did you agree to come here?
Jake shrugged, suddenly embarrassed.
Honestly? The ambassador offered 2 years' wages. My daughter. I want to give her a better life. Better school, safer neighborhood. Maybe even save up for her college.
It's been hard since Sarah died.
An honest answer.
The Queen's tail, which stretched into impossible distances, twitched slightly.
Do you know what I am, Jake Morrison? A dragon queen? Ruler of something big? I am one of the first.
When the universe was young, my kind arose from the quantum foam between realities.
We shaped the early cosmos, taught matter how to dance into stars, showed gravity how to embrace.
I have existed for so long that entire civilizations have risen and fallen in the time it takes me to blink.
She lowered her head again. And, do you know what I had forgotten?
Jake shook his head.
Purpose.
Simple, clear purpose.
You wake each day for Emma. You work for Emma. You grieve, yet continue, for Emma.
When did I last do anything for such a pure reason? Her voice carried infinite sadness. I had become a symbol, a force, a concept. But not a being with simple needs and simple joys. I think, Jake said carefully, that maybe it doesn't matter how old or powerful you are.
Everyone needs to feel connected to something real.
The Queen studied him.
Your wife understood this. A xenobotanist, you said? Studying connections between distant species? Yeah. She had this theory that life everywhere shares certain patterns. Not just DNA or chemistry, but deeper stuff. She said loneliness was universal, but so was the cure for it.
Which was?
Showing up. Being present. Sharing meals.
Jake gestured at the remnants of his sandwich. She used to say that every culture in the galaxy has some version of breaking bread together. The Queen rose slightly, her movement causing ripples in spacetime that made everyone except Jake step back. He was too focused on her eyes to notice reality bending around him.
Ambassador Thylex, the Queen commanded.
Clear the throne room. I wish to speak with Jake Morrison alone. The diplomats filed out, shooting curious glances at the human who had somehow reached their dying queen with a child's lunch.
When they were alone, the vast space felt oddly intimate.
I'm going to tell you a secret, Jake Morrison, the Queen said. I was ready to die not because I was old or tired, but because I had forgotten how to be small.
Small?
When you are as vast as I am, when your thoughts can reshape reality and your dreams birth galaxies, you lose touch with the simple act of existence.
I haven't felt hunger in millennia.
Not true hunger, the body's simple need for fuel.
I haven't felt.
She paused, searching for words. I haven't felt the pleasure of satisfying a basic need in so long that I'd forgotten such pleasures existed.
Jake thought about this. When Sarah was in the hospital, near the end, she said something similar.
Said all the big questions, why we're here, what it all means, they stopped mattering. What mattered was holding hands. Ice chips on her lips.
Emma's laugh from the hallway.
Your Sarah was wise.
She was everything, Jake agreed quietly.
The Queen shifted, and, suddenly, she was smaller. Not small by any human standard, still the size of a large building, but no longer incomprehensibly vast.
I would like to meet Emma. Jake's eyes widened. What?
Your daughter, who draws dragons and believes in cloud wings.
I would like to meet her. The Queen's expression was almost shy. If you would permit it. You want to meet my 5-year-old daughter?
I want to remember what it's like to see the universe through eyes that haven't witnessed its birth. I want to hear stories where dragons eat pizza and teach children to fly. The queen's scales shimmered with colors that had no names.
I want to be, just for a moment, the kind of dragon a little girl would leave drawings for. Jake's mind raced.
I mean, she'd lose her mind with joy.
But, how?
You're here, and she's on New Haven, and I need to get back for our movie night.
The queen did something that might have been a smile. Distance is merely a suggestion when you're as old as I am. But, first, tell me, does Emma like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as much as her father claims? She practically lives on them.
3 different types of jam, though. Strawberry, grape, and this weird alien fruit spread that turns colors when you spread it. She calls them rainbow sandwiches.
Rainbow sandwiches.
The queen repeated the words like a prayer.
Yes.
I think I would very much like to try a rainbow sandwich. Later, Jake would struggle to explain what happened next.
The queen breathed, and reality folded.
One moment they were in a palace above Zirian Prime, the next they were standing in his small apartment on New Haven. The queen, now merely the size of a large earth dragon from old stories, somehow fit comfortably in his living room. Emma was at the kitchen table, coloring with the babysitter, Mrs. Chen. The elderly woman took one look at the dragon queen, said I'm not paid enough for this, and promptly fainted. Emma, however, looked up from her drawing with huge eyes.
Daddy?
Then, seeing the queen, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. You're a dragon. A real dragon.
Hello, Emma, the queen said, her cosmic voice somehow gentle as a lullaby. I heard you draw pictures of dragons.
Emma nodded so hard her pigtails bounced. I do. Want to see?
I have lots. She scrambled from her chair, apparently finding nothing strange about a building-sized dragon queen in her living room. Jake checked on Mrs. Chen, pulse steady, just fainted, and laid her on the couch. When he turned back, Emma was showing the queen her dragon portfolio with the seriousness of a museum curator. This one is you flying through clouds made of cotton candy.
And this one is you having a tea party with robots. Oh.
And this one is you reading bedtime stories to star babies.
The queen examined each drawing with the same intensity she might have once reserved for cosmic treaties. These are wonderful. Tell me about the star babies. Well, Emma said, settling into her storytelling voice, sometimes stars get lonely, right?
So dragons adopt them and teach them how to twinkle properly.
Like this. She demonstrated twinkling with her fingers.
Of course, the queen said solemnly.
Proper twinkling technique is essential.
Jake watched the surreal scene, his daughter lecturing a being older than the universe about star babies, and felt something ease in his chest.
A knot of tension he'd carried since Sarah's death.
Emma, he said, the queen hasn't eaten in days.
Should we make her one of your special sandwiches? Emma gasped. You haven't eaten?
That's terrible. Don't worry, I make the best sandwiches. Daddy taught me, but I made them even better. She bustled to the kitchen with the authority of a 5-year-old on a mission. The queen watched with ancient eyes that held new light. She's remarkable, the queen said to Jake. She's her mother's daughter, Jake replied.
Sarah would have loved this. A dragon in our living room. She always said the universe was stranger and more wonderful than we could imagine. Emma returned with a sandwich that was definitely more jam than peanut butter, cut into triangular quarters.
The alien fruit spread she'd mentioned swirled through the grape and strawberry jam in patterns that did indeed look like rainbows. It's very important to get the jam ratio right, Emma explained seriously.
Too much peanut butter and it sticks to your mouth. Too much jam and it squishes out the sides. The queen took a delicate bite. Her eyes widened. This is extraordinary. Emma beamed. I added love. Mommy said that's the most important ingredient. The queen stopped mid-chew.
Jake saw tears, actual tears, forming in eyes that had watched the birth of galaxies.
Yes, the queen whispered. I can taste it.
The most important ingredient indeed.
They spent the next hour in the small kitchen.
Emma showed the queen her crayon technique, her collection of interesting rocks, and her favorite stuffed animal, a dragon, naturally named Mr. Scales.
The Queen listened to each explanation with the attention of someone learning the secrets of the universe. Which, Jake realized, maybe she was. "Your Majesty," Jake said as Emma ran to get another drawing, not to be rude, but why? Why does this matter so much to you?
The Queen considered the half-eaten rainbow sandwich in her claws.
Do you know what I realized when I tasted your simple sandwich? I realized I had forgotten that existence doesn't need to be complex to be meaningful. I rule half the galaxy.
My decisions affect trillions.
But, when did I last create something with my own claws? When did I last eat not because food was rare or exotic, but because I was hungry and it tasted good? When did you last have a friend? Emma asked, returning with an armload of drawings. She'd clearly been eavesdropping.
The Queen blinked.
I don't remember. That's so sad. Emma's face scrunched with concern. Everyone needs friends. Do you want to be my friend? I've always wanted a dragon friend. I would be honored, the Queen said formally. Emma stuck out her pinky. You have to pinky promise. That's how you make it official. The sight of an ancient cosmic dragon delicately pinky promising a 5-year-old girl was something Jake knew he'd remember forever. There, Emma declared. Now we're friends.
Friends have sleepovers and share secrets and make crafts together.
Oh. We were going to have a movie night. Do you want to watch singing robots in space with us?
I'm not sure the Queen has time, Jake began. Time, the Queen said, is what I have most of. And I would love to watch singing robots with my new friend. Mrs. Chun chose that moment to wake up, took one look at the Dragon Queen wearing one of Emma's handmade friendship bracelets, and fainted again. She does that a lot, Emma observed.
Daddy, can we make popcorn?
As Jake made popcorn and Emma explained the complex plot of her favorite movie to a being older than time, he thought about Sarah. How she would have laughed at this. How she would have immediately adopted the Dragon Queen into their weird little family, the way she adopted every stray student, every lonely colleague, every person who needed a place to belong. The Queen, now small enough to curl up on the reinforced floor, watched with rapt attention as badly animated robots sang about friendship and adventure. Emma provided running commentary, pointing out her favorite parts, singing along with the songs. Halfway through the movie, Emma climbed onto the Queen's foreleg and leaned against her warm scales. Your sparkles are pretty, she said sleepily.
Thank you, the Queen replied. Your drawings are beautiful.
We can make more tomorrow, Emma yawned.
Friends do art together.
Jake saw something shift in the Queen's expression.
A remembering. A returning.
Yes, the Queen said softly, as Emma dozed against her scales.
Friends do art together. The movie played on. The singing robots saved the day through the power of harmony.
Emma slept peacefully against dragon scales that had touched the birth of stars. And Jake Morrison, single father and cargo loader, shared popcorn with a cosmic being who was remembering how to be small.
Thank you, the Queen whispered. For what? Jake asked.
For reminding me that the universe isn't just vast and ancient and complex. It's also peanut butter sandwiches and friendship bracelets and badly animated movies watched with people you care about.
She looked at Emma with infinite tenderness.
For reminding me why I chose to exist in the first place.
Sarah used to say that love was the only thing that made sense.
Everything else, power, money, fame, it all fades. But love just keeps going, spreading out like ripples in a pond. Your Sarah, the Queen said, understood more than she knew.
Love is what teaches matter to become life. It's what drives evolution, what creates consciousness from chaos. It's the force that counters entropy itself.
That's beautiful, Jake said.
But, I think Sarah would have said it simpler. Love is what makes a house a home.
What turns ingredients into a meal? What transforms a random collection of atoms into a family? The Queen smiled, a real smile.
Yes. That too. Especially that.
As the movie ended and the credits rolled, Jake realized something had changed.
Not just the queen, though she now glowed with health and vitality.
Something in the apartment itself felt different.
Warmer. More complete.
Like having a dragon in your living room was the most natural thing in the world. Like family could be a widowed father, a little girl with too much imagination, and an ancient being who had forgotten how to be small. Like sometimes, the universe sent exactly what you needed, wrapped in scales and starlight, hungry for nothing more than a simple sandwich and a friend. The next morning, Jake woke to find a cosmic dragon making pancakes in his kitchen. The queen had somehow shrunk herself to the size of a large horse to fit comfortably in the space, and was wearing Emma's Kiss the Cook apron that Sarah had bought as a joke years ago. "Good morning," the queen said, not turning from the stove. Emma requested pancakes shaped like stars. I may have taken that more literally than intended. Jake looked at the pancakes. They were indeed star-shaped, but they also seemed to contain actual stardust, glowing faintly on the griddle.
Are those safe to eat?
Perfectly safe.
Just minor cosmic enlightenment as a side effect.
Also, they taste like maple syrup even without maple syrup.
Emma bounded into the kitchen, already dressed in her favorite dragon print pajamas.
Miss Syra. You stayed. The queen and Miss Syra now, apparently, smiled.
I told you I would. Friends don't break promises.
Best sleepover ever, Emma declared, climbing into her chair.
After breakfast, can you teach me how to fly?
Emma, I don't think, Jake began.
Actually, the queen interrupted, I've been thinking about that.
Not literal flying, but, perhaps, something better. She placed a stack of star pancakes in front of Emma.
How would you like to help me with a very important project? Emma's eyes went wide. Really? What kind of project?
Well, the queen said, sitting down at their small table, her tail politely curled to avoid knocking things over, I realized last night that I've been doing my job wrong for a very long time. I've been so focused on being mighty and terrible and ancient that I forgot the most important part of being a queen.
Which is? Jake asked, accepting his own plate of cosmic pancakes. Caring for people. Really caring.
Not just maintaining order or preventing wars, but actually making lives better.
She looked at Emma. Your drawings gave me an idea. What if dragons didn't just rule from distant palaces? What if we visited? Taught? Played? Emma bounced in her seat.
Like dragon teachers.
Oh. Dragon doctors. Dragon storytellers. Exactly.
The queen's eyes sparkled. For too long, my kind have separated ourselves from other species. We thought we were too different, too powerful, too ancient to relate.
But you showed me that's not true. We're all just beings trying to find connection. Jake felt a lump in his throat. Sarah would have loved this.
She always said the biggest problems came from people forgetting they were all on the same team. Your Sarah sounds like she should have been running the galaxy, the queen said softly. She was too busy running our little world, Jake replied.
Making it better one student, one discovery, one sandwich at a time.
They finished breakfast, and the queen helped wash dishes, a surreal sight that Jake was somehow getting used to. Then, Emma dragged both adults to the living room for what she called Project Dragon Friends. Okay, Emma said, spreading out her art supplies with military precision.
We need to make a plan. Miss Syra, how many dragons are there? Active?
Perhaps 1,000.
Many more sleep in the spaces between stars. And how many planets with people? Millions. Emma frowned, doing math on her fingers. That's not enough dragons. We need more friends to help.
The queen tilted her head.
What do you mean? Well, Emma said, picking up a crayon, if dragons are going to be friends with everyone, you need help. Like, dragon assistants.
Dragon assistants, the queen mused.
Tell me more.
As Emma launched into an elaborate explanation involving junior dragon friends, dragon pen pals, and something called the Friendship Brigade, Jake watched the queen listening with complete attention. This being who could unmake stars was taking notes on his daughter's ideas with a glitter pen.
A knock at the door interrupted them. Jake opened it to find Ambassador Thylex and several other officials looking frantic. "Your Majesty!" Thylex's forearms waved dramatically. "You vanished. The entire Galactic Council is in uproar."
"We thought I'm having a playdate," the Queen said calmly.
"Please come in."
Emma was just explaining her revolutionary approach to interstellar relations. The aliens filed in, staring at the scene, their cosmic queen sitting on the floor, covered in glitter, helping a human child color inside the lines.
"Your Majesty," another diplomat ventured, "there are pressing matters. The void treaties, the stellar mining disputes, all of which have waited 10,000 years and can wait another day," the Queen interrupted. "Emma, please continue about the Friendship Brigade." Emma, completely unfazed by the room full of alien dignitaries, stood up and cleared her throat. "Okay, so the problem is that everyone's scared of dragons because they're big and powerful, right? But what if dragons did normal things? Like, what if a dragon helped build houses? Or taught kids how to paint? Or just sat and listened when someone was sad?" "Preposterous," one of the officials muttered. "Dragons are beings of cosmic significance, not social workers." Emma's face scrunched up.
"My mommy was a scientist and she said the most significant thing anyone can do is help someone else. Even if you're super powerful. Especially if you're super powerful." The Queen stood, suddenly, towering despite her reduced size. "The child is correct. We have forgotten our purpose. We maintain order through fear when we should inspire through connection." She looked at her officials. "Things are going to change." "But, Your Majesty," Thylex protested, "tradition, the ancient ways have left me alone in a palace, dying of disconnection," the Queen said firmly.
"No more. Emma Morrison has shown me a better path." "I helped too," Jake said dryly.
"I provided the sandwich." The Queen smiled at him.
"Yes. The catalyst.
The simple thing that reminded me of what truly matters." She addressed her officials.
"Return to the palace. Summon the Dragon Council.
Tell them Queen Sirathan has remembered why we exist."
"Which is?" an official asked nervously. Emma piped up. "To be friends. To help. To make things better." She tugged on the Queen's tail. "Right, Miss Syra?" "Exactly right, my dear friend." The officials left, muttering among themselves. Jake could only imagine the chaos about to unfold in galactic politics. But, watching Emma and the Queen return to their coloring, he found he didn't much care. "This is going to change everything," he said. "Yes," the Queen agreed. "It is." She selected a purple crayon. "Your daughter has given me something I haven't had in eons. Purpose beyond power. Connection beyond control." "She's good at that," Jake said, remembering how Emma had gotten their grumpy neighbor to smile after Sarah's funeral, how she'd made friends with every kid in her class within a day. "Gets it from her mom."
"And her father," the Queen added. "You shared your sandwich with a stranger."
"Do you know how rare that kindness has become in our vast, complicated galaxy?" Emma looked up from her drawing. "Daddy always shares. He says that's what makes us human."
"Perhaps," the Queen said thoughtfully, "that's what makes us all people, regardless of species. The willingness to share. To connect. To see others not as subjects or obstacles, but as potential friends." They spent the day together. The Queen helped Emma with her drawings, teaching her how to capture light in ways that seemed to bend reality.
Emma taught the Queen jump rope, which resulted in some interesting spatial anomalies but much laughter. Jake made more sandwiches, tuna this time, which the Queen pronounced fascinatingly fishy. As afternoon wore on, Jake realized he hadn't thought about work once. "Oh no. I definitely don't have a job anymore."
"I wouldn't worry about that," the Queen said casually.
"I've arranged for you to be my official human relations advisor. The salary is substantial. I can't take charity, it's not charity."
I need someone who understands that leadership isn't about power but about service. Someone who makes sandwiches for his daughter and shares them with strangers. Someone who remembers what it means to be human in the best sense of the word. Plus, you need someone to teach you human stuff. Emma added. Like holidays and birthdays and how to make friendship bracelets properly. The queen held up her wrist, where Emma's handmade bracelet sparkled against her scales. This is my most treasured possession now. Worth more than all the treasures in my palace. Really? Emma's eyes shone. Really? Because it was given in friendship, freely and with joy. No price can be placed on that. As evening approached, the queen prepared to leave. She had a council to address, a galaxy to reshape, ancient dragons to awaken to a new way of being. But, I'll be back tomorrow, she promised Emma. We have the Friendship Brigade to plan. And, I believe you mentioned something about pizza? Dragon Pizza Party. Emma cheered. With pineapple. A controversial choice, the queen said solemnly. But, I'm willing to try it. She turned to Jake. Thank you. For the sandwich. For the reminder. For your daughter. For showing me that the smallest gestures can reshape the universe. Thank you, Jake replied. For showing Emma that her dreams can be real. For being her friend. For making our family feel complete again. The queen paused at that. You know, in all my eons, I've never had a family. Never understood the concept. Until now. She looked between Jake and Emma. Is it always like this? This warm feeling? The best parts are, Emma said, hugging the queen's foreleg. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. Then, perhaps, the queen said softly, I found more than friendship here. She left then, reality bending around her as she returned to her palace. But, she left behind something too, a sense of possibility, of connection, of hope. That night, as Jake tucked Emma into bed, she asked, Daddy, do you think Mommy would be happy? That we made friends with a dragon? Jake smoothed her hair. I think Mommy would be thrilled. She always said the universe was full of friends we hadn't met yet. Miss Syra is the best friend. She's going to make everything better. Yeah, Jake agreed. I think she is. But, you know what? You started it all. With my drawings? With your heart, baby. With your belief that everyone just needs a friend. Emma yawned. That's what Mommy taught me. Love makes everything better. As his daughter drifted off to sleep, Jake stood by her window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, an ancient dragon was rewriting the rules of galactic civilization based on a 5-year-old's art project. Somewhere out there, 1,000-year-old beings were learning about friendship bracelets and pizza parties. And, here, in a small apartment on a human colony world, a single father who had shared his lunch had changed the course of history. Sarah would have laughed. She would have said that of course this happened, that kindness was the most powerful force in any universe, that connection could overcome any difference. We're doing okay, he whispered to the stars. Emma and me. We're doing okay. In the morning, there would be a dragon at their door, ready for another day of friendship and wonder. There would be rainbow sandwiches and art projects and probably more spatial anomalies from attempted jump rope. But, for now, Jake Morrison sat in his daughter's room, watching her sleep, and felt the universe shift around them. Not with cosmic power or ancient magic, but with something far more potent. Love. Simple, shared, transformative love. The kind that could turn a lonely dragon into family. The kind that could make a house feel whole again. The kind that started with a sandwich and ended with the stars themselves singing a different song. High above, in her crystal palace, Queen Seraphine of the Void Dragons looked at the friendship bracelet on her wrist and smiled. Tomorrow, she would begin reshaping galactic civilization. She would wake her sleeping kin and teach them Emma's lessons. She would show them that power meant nothing without connection, that age meant nothing without growth, that wisdom meant nothing without love. But, tonight, she simply held the memory of a rainbow sandwich shared with friends and knew that she had finally, after eons of existence, found her way home. Not to a place, but to a purpose. Not to subjects, but to family. Not to power, but to love. And, somewhere in the quantum foam between realities, the universe itself shifted, just a little, toward kindness. All because a single dad shared his lunch. All because a little girl believed in friendship. All because sometimes, the smallest gestures echo across eternity, transforming everything they touch into something better, something brighter, something more connected than before. The Dragon Queen had eaten nothing for days. Until a human single dad sandwich caught her nose. And, in that simple moment of sharing, everything changed. Everything.